So one thing caught my eye. It was a film about how, I forgot the title, but it was about how a meteor was on its way to strike the Earth. And so everyone knew, they were going to be finished. So one man, he decided that the whole situation meant that he should go try to find his high school sweetheart. And, somehow or other resonate as the meteor is bearing down on the Earth, He thought that this was, he had to resolve this before the meteor hit the Earth and destroyed it. So, that got me thinking. Is that what most people would do in that situation? What do you think? It's like, well, just get it while you can. What would you do? Of course, we all know that these bodies will never end, right? Everyone here, almost everyone here feels quite youthful and confident of your physiology, right? It's going to go on for forever, and that you're all good people, and good people never die early. So let's just think the impossible. Let's dare to think the impossible. The meteor is bearing down on planet Earth. Collision is certain. But until the meteor hits, everything seems to be normal. So why not pursue your dreams at the last minute? So this guy, he thought, wow, what about that high school sweetheart of 20 years ago? Maybe I should find her and we can just, maybe we can finally click. We broke up 20 years ago, but maybe we can, in the last moments of Earth's existence, the last moment of our existence, maybe we can click, What do you think? Some are shaking their heads, others are blushing. What do you think? What would you do? What do you think about that? Yes.
Lots of people will be doing that now because it's supposed to be 2012.
Well, you've noticed they're doing that? They're seeking out their high school sweethearts and... Anyone else?
Well, if we were in the same city, not too far.
Why? Why would you do it?
Well, yeah. I'll try to imagine. I would.
Well, that's what I want you to do. Just put your, just... What would you do in that situation? I know it's hard to think about because, the end is never, of his body will never come. Yes?
Actually, a few years ago, when, there was 2,000 in the world and then 2,000 something in the world, and I used to think like that when I was at school. I thought, no matter what, but if they're all thinking in a while, how they go
Find who?
that person.
Which person? Which one? Huh? I shouldn't answer. Okay. Anyone else? What do you think about that? All right, maybe not so much what you would do, but what do you think about the concept? Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Why?
Because why would someone do that? Why don't they spend time with their family or,
But
spend the last minutes on Earth with
but
someone
you're,
they already have in love?
but you're considering that the family is more important than the high school sweetheart. The romantic dream. You've never had a romantic dream before?
Sure, but...
Our dreams about what life is all about, Especially when you're in high school love. Remember that? Zing with the strings of your heart. So you're arguing for family. But you weren't here last week, though, were you?
Oh, no.
We discussed the statistics for the family. You know, more than 50% of the first marriages end in divorce, and then the percentage increases with your second and third marriage. It gets up to, like, by the time you try for your third marriage, the divorce rate's 75%. So, and then you look at the children's scene, remember? That more than 50% of the children in the USA live in homes where both of their original, they only have one of their original parents. The minority of children in the USA grow up in homes with both their biological parents present. And then for women under 30, most of the children they give birth to are outside of marriage. So here you are talking about family. Remember last week we were explaining about the extreme conservative and the extreme liberal battle. The extreme conservatives say, family, family, we should be stressing the family. Everything should be family focused. And what do the extreme liberals say? What family? Look at the numbers, look at the statistics. Regardless of what your ideology is or your religious beliefs are about the family, look at the numbers. It's disappearing. So we just got to face the facts, face the realities. So now what do you say? You still criticize the guy for wanting to be with his high school sweetheart? Hey, you should be home with mother. You should be in your living room with your family, you know, waiting for the meteor to strike. What are you doing, you know, going on a trek? You know, you had to go, you know, travel a bit, long drive, you know, 10 hours or so to go to the town of his high school sweetheart. So would you still criticize him? Say, stay home with your family. Whoever they are, you know, your father's second wife and your mother's third husband. And it could be, I mean, if you, where I spend 4 or 5 months a year, Australia and New Zealand. I'll be going to New Zealand on Sunday. This is a true story. There was one of our Bhakti yoga practitioners, 2 of them, and they wanted to marry. So they went, in Auckland, New Zealand, they went to the city office, you know, for a legal marriage before they had the temple ceremony. They wanted to arrange for a legal marriage. So this is the Bureau of Marriage Certificates and birth certificates and all that kind of thing. So they walked into the office, and they said, we'd like to schedule a civil marriage. And the whole office burst out laughing. Wow, we can't believe it! Someone's coming to get married! They just laughed and laughed. And so these Bhakti yoga practitioners, they said, like, but we thought there was going to be a long waiting list. You know, we'd have to schedule for, 3 weeks ahead of time. I said, no one ever comes in to get married. Don't you know? This is New Zealand. No one gets married anymore. So, what goes on there is, because no one gets married, yet, of course, the government, they want to determine who has responsibility for any assets or any children or child care. So they strictly enforce called de facto marriage. If you've been living together for 1 year, then you're considered married, and if you break up, the assets are split 50-50. Yeah. So you can imagine what everyone does. What do you think everyone does? Lives alone? Who said that?
11 months they move out.
Huh?
11 months they move out.
Exactly. Yeah, they're watching the calendar, Okay. So, it's in the middle of the 11th month. Maybe I should dump her now. Oh, I think it's pretty expensive. So, the family. Anyone else? The meteor is about to strike Earth. What would you do? Yes.
I think that regardless of the outcome, for me, I think it's about saying everything that you didn't get to say.
Saying everything you didn't get to say.
Yeah, even if it doesn't work out, even if that person is totally hates you now or is married to someone else now, I think just saying everything that you had to say and going with that gut instinct.
Gut instinct. Like, I really never told you how much I hated you.
Or loved you.
So you would find your secret flame and just, reveal yourself, huh?
Yeah.
And how would that help? Or it's just something you do before being blown, before your body's blown to bits, right? And you go to whatever, you go wherever, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say for closure, but maybe it is for a little bit of closure and for knowing that like you tried and you went the distance.
And then what, you just die in peace, okay. Closure, now smash me to pieces, meteor.
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Honest, yes?
If it happened in this present state of mind, I would definitely want to have a little fun, but kirtan has always been nice. These few years I've probably trying to find a good kirtan. So if that didn't happen, I'd go on a trek or something.
But if you had your choice, what would you do?
I do the kirtan.
Yeah. I would too.
For me, yeah.
Any particular reason?
Enjoyment. The senses are not going to lie. The senses are going to be the person you're talking to. What feels good. Hope to be fun. At the same time, having a few morals and values that mom instilled inside me. Some little bit of spirituality. So all those are play a part. But yeah, probably it'd be a mixture of all of them.
Okay. Yes, in the back, in the far corner.
For me, I think I'd be way frantic about the fact that there's a meteor gonna hit. So I don't know if all these things, like the way they portray in the movies, actually, I guess, come up when they're, especially when you're about to face death with like the whole entire world.
Okay, so what we should. So, do you approve of the guy going to? First of all, do you approve of the guy going to track down his high school sweetheart?
I mean, it was something that was on his mind for so long, and it was like eating at him. I mean, that makes the person happy in their eyes, but
what?
Yeah, I don't know. I think until you're actually in a real scenario.
All right, you put yourself in it,
Yeah, I'd be frantic. I would.
Frantic? What do you mean by frantic? You just like lose your head, like just like.
I'd be blown away at the fact that there was like the world would not exist. So
Okay, I mean, we all know that our bodies are going to last forever. We know that, and we know the end will never come for these bodies. So now just keeping that truth in mind. What do you mean by frantic?
Well, is it meant like that the world was going to just
Not something, but the world, but your body.
Well, I
The end, as far as you know.
I think I'd think far beyond just myself and thinking of my own body and my own like stuff. I would think in a bigger scope of just everybody in the whole world, because I feel like I'm connected to everything and everyone in some way. So it would be.
So you'd be frantic on behalf of the whole world.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, can you give us a picture of what that looks like? Yeah?
It would just be a scary situation. I mean, like as.
No, what do you mean by frantic? And you're saying frantic on behalf of the whole world. Can you just give us a picture?
I don't know, just not.
Can anyone help her? What does she mean? What does she mean? She means just What do you mean?
Maybe a little bit of that, a little
Huh?
bit of just like
Hysterical or?
hysterical, like just I don't think anybody would really be able to think straight if a meteor was gonna hit.
And that's the best you could do.
At the moment, yeah, that's the best that I can think of right now.
Okay.
I would choose a curious team definitely.
Anyone else?
I would eat lots of chocolate cake
Why?
because I don't eat enough of it.
So you figure this is your last chance. That's your #1 vice, huh?
I mean, between that and the meditation and the family.
Oh, chocolate cake, meditation, and family.
And I'll drive fast. I'll drive extra fast.
Huh?
I would drive extra fast.
Why?
Because I don't do it enough. This body, if we tend to think about preserving this body.
Mm-hmm.
So with the chance to not have to worry about preserving the body, there'd be beautiful freedom. And it seems to me that the
Wait, hold it right there. Can you describe that beautiful freedom? Okay, I don't have to worry about the body. Now, what exactly does that mean?
well, the ego can chill.
The ego can chill. I mean,
That sense
give us a picture of what you mean.
Well, you know how we tend to have this instinct of survival. If we all know that that instinct of survival does not have any benefit in this moment,
Mm-hmm.
then it seems that there are things that we can exercise we may not.
You could
otherwise
just
do.
like let it all hang out.
Yeah.
So what would you do?
I would not go to the gym.
You'd not go to the gym. You would speed around. You would steal a red Ferrari and drive it
I'd drive
super
fast
fast.
because everybody would be hiding in their house apparently.
Yeah. So that those are your secret desires, huh?
Yeah. I would drive past the frantic people, you know, and then
I thought it was only guys who like to race cars.
No.
Okay, so you drive, you race your car. What else would you do? Eat lots of chocolate cake without worrying about your figure, right?
Exactly.
Mm.
Find that old sweetheart, I guess.
Find a whole sweetheart and recite poetry
And hang
together.
out with my mom's second husband.
Huh?
And hang out with my mother's second husband.
Is that the best you could do?
That would be satisfying, as long as.
Satisfying. Okay, I've done all that. I've gorged on chocolate cake. I've driven, 120 miles per hour. I recited poetry with my ex. Yeah. And I've talked to my mother and father, and their, second and third spouses. And now I'm ready to die. Let the meteor hit. Is that the way it's going to be?
Perhaps.
You sure?
I'd try to come here too.
All right.
Because I love the way it feels when we're enchanted.
Ah. Not a kirtan addict. Okay, anyone else? What about the guy, who went to find his high school sweetheart while the meteor's bearing down on the earth? Does anyone, can you relate to it, or you think he's just nuts, or? No one wants to criticize him, huh? Yes, way in the back, yes?
I mean, I can certainly relate to that. I think I'm...
Why? Tell us why.
Well, I think, I'm pretty sure I would have done something similar, a few years ago if that situation was... a question for you, though. How much time do we actually have between knowing the meteor's hitting
Well, let me ask you, what difference does it make?
Well, if it's like minutes or days, I guess it makes a little bit of a difference.
No, it's like a month. You got a month.
A month.
Huh?
Well, I mean, the reason why I ask is because a month gives you an inordinate amount of time to, to satisfy all these things that everybody's listing.
What do they list? Satisfy what? What are they listing?
Well, satisfying, sensual desires, basically, right?
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So I would think that...
Are those ever, by the way, are those ever satisfied?
Well, that's my second point, which is in a month, that maybe the realization would come that, you had lots of time to do all these things, and then maybe it would dawn on some people that maybe it wasn't quite all it seemed like it might be.
Is a month enough to satisfy your senses? Is a lifetime enough? Will the senses ever be materially satisfied?
I think when there's an end point, I think, you know, as you're through the years, you don't have like an actual end point until you hit like retirement. So knowing that the meteor is going to hit, knowing that there's an end point to satisfaction, it feels more gratifying. You
Well,
have to prolong it for years and years.
Now, in the movie, the meteor is supposed to hit after a certain time, but how is it that we're certain we have even a few days? Notice how all of you are certain. What is that certainty based on? What do you say?
I think we give ourselves a mental timeline for everything.
Why? And how do you do that?
Well,
Like, do you do it for yourself? You give yourself a mental timeline.
Yeah,
That's a good.
just
I like that expression. I'm going to remember it.
yeah, just like you say, you know, young people, which we're all young, so we none of us think we're gonna die.
Of course.
So we walk around like, oh, I'll be a filmmaker in 10 years. I'll meet my soulmate down the line somewhere. So we all have these mental. We have this. Everything's mental, but we're doing other things. Almost like routine. Like instead of finding the soulmate, we go to a job we don't like every day. Instead of singing more, you do, I don't know, you sing in a classroom. So it's like, yeah, there's certain, I don't know what I'm getting at. But
So this mental timeline. Let's get back to that. Why is it that we are sure that we're just going to go on? And what I found is that generally people think, well, you know, I'm kind of a nice person in my own way, and certainly nature will be kind upon me, time will be kind upon me. Good persons don't die early, right? Dying early is kind of a freakish thing that happens to everyone except you and persons you know. But isn't it so you got a feeling that you're kind of really a good person? You're not perfect, of course. I mean, who is? You know, you're not the greatest saint, right? You're not the worst sinner, right? Somewhere in between. So certainly you should, you know, live a full life without a doubt, right? In other words, we have this mental timeline, as you say. But specifically, we have this feeling that the universe is going to be kind upon us because we're good people, right? I mean, how could I die young? I mean, me, you know, I've got so many things I need to do, so many plans, so many goals to achieve. How could I die young? Isn't that what it's like? Not me. I got things to do, things I haven't done yet, desires I haven't fulfilled. What happens actually when people get the news of some kind of terminal illness? Generally, if they're not yogis with knowledge, especially knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti, they first experience a denial. No, it can't be true. And then is anger. How could this happen to me? Why me? I've got things to achieve. I have things I haven't done. I have persons depending on me. They get just angry at time. They get angry at the world. If they've had some religious background, they get angry at God, whoever that is. So denial, then anger, and then fear. Oh no, but what's it going to be like? What will become of me? Can you see yourself feeling that? Denial, anger, and then fear. And finally, there may be acceptance. in my travels around the world, I've noted that,
Can everyone squeeze together a little bit more?
yeah, actually the seats up front are most expensive, as I always say. Valentina, move up. You're 24, don't worry, you'll live till you're 90. So, I've noticed in my travels on every habitable continent in the world, I've been traveling internationally for over 30 years. So, in countries that are religious, you see, overseas, the USA is known as a religious country, believe it or not. Because people, they externally at least identify with some kind of religion or some kind of church. So, for example, in Australia and New Zealand, they'll always refer to the USA as that religious country. Even you go across the border to Canada and they're not so religious as the USA. So, in religious countries, when people get the news, you know, when you go to the doctor and he clears his throat before talking to you after looking at your tests and your x-rays. Generally, in religious countries, people get angry at God. How could you do this to me? I went to church every week, you know. I gave to charity. I prayed a few times. How? What kind of God is going to allow me to die? So they get angry like that at some unknown, undefined, supreme destiny, supreme controller. And in countries that are not at all concerned with religion, for example, in Australia, one doctor, who's also a Bhakti practitioner, he told me, that, you know, we don't get, he deals a lot with persons dying of terminal cancer. He said, nah, no one's getting angry at God, because no one knows anything about God. They don't think about God. Religion, you know, Christianity in Australia died 40 years ago. So, what they get angry at is the government. Because, you know, they have, you know, government health care. And so, why didn't the government devote enough of my tax money to researching this disease? The government is supposed to be taking care of me. How could this happen? So instead of getting angry at God, they get angry at the government. Because they have full health care. They think the American debate about health care is as ridiculous. So they get angry at the government. What's wrong with the hospitals? Why can't the government make suitable hospitals so that I don't die? So that's the anger on their mind. But let me ask you this. What do you think your regrets would be as you're approaching your final weeks? In the case of this guy in the movie, I guess I didn't watch the movie. I guess his regret was that, you know, he had to, if he felt he didn't pursue that high school relationship enough, and it could have been something. This is one of the top 5 regrets that people have when they know the end is coming. They think of the friendships that they squandered or didn't pursue enough or let fall by the wayside. What do you think some of your regrets would be? Yes?
Being nicer.
Not being nicer. Oh, I couldn't have been nicer. Oh. Any other? Yes.
Spending so much time at work because it's just I regret finding out where I'm gonna go after this is all done.
Anything else? What do you think your yes?
Mine would be bettering myself and
What's that?
bettering myself.
Bettering
myself and
you regret that you didn't do that.
yeah.
Mhm.
And my second one would be, you know, to reunite with the girl that I took to the prom.
The girl that you took to where?
To the prom.
I thought you said to the farm.
No.
So again, you got that high school you know, longing, right? Why has everyone got these high school, you know, huh? Promise. Anyone else? Regrets? What? Not enough kirtan. Yes, in the back.
Not going to the art school that I'd love to go to because it's very, very.
Not go to where?
Not going to the art school that I wanted.
That would be your biggest regret. Like, oh my God, I'm dying. I didn't go to the art school I wanted to go to.
Yeah, love art.
Anyone else? Yes.
I'll probably regret about some mistakes I made in relation with my parents and family.
I never told my father I loved him.
Something like that.
No, it's a popular one. Yes? Oh, I thought you were raising your
How
hand.
was it changed?
Well, you can say something.
I actually don't think I have any regrets
Oh.
because that might sound weird, but I feel like that every choice I've made has made me sort of get where I am and where I'd be when I'm transitioning.
So where would you be when you're transitioning? Since
I
you
don't
mentioned
know.
it.
It could happen tonight.
But in other words, where would you be going? You'd be transiting. Transiting means
Yeah.
going from one place to another. So since you would have no regrets, where?
I'd
So you're
just be
getting on
going
the
inside.
bus.
I'd be going inside and trying to be still,
Be still,
not worry, which would be a natural.
and
This
just
is the
what?
meteor, right?
And just let the universe take you.
Yeah.
Huh? You universe, just be good to me, take me. I've been a good person, you know, pretty good anyway. And take me where you. I'm sure that you'll have the best future for me, knowing that I'm a good person. Is that it?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that, but
What would you say?
I just don't think that I would go through certain regrets.
I know. Okay, no regrets, but okay, but you would just let death come.
I would just enjoy the month like that I have.
By doing what?
Kirtan, dance, yoga, spend time with my husband.
And you would just, knowing that the days of your husband were numbered, you would just, okay, that's it. It's been real, hun. Bye-bye. It happened so easy like that, huh? Really, it's that easy, huh?
I hope.
Thank you. We all have this unconscious, you notice we all have this unconscious or conscious hope that, well, you know, I'm kind of a good person even though I don't know what I'm doing. So somehow or other, you know, it'll work out. This is kind of the American optimism, you know? You ever heard that expression, God helps drunks to cross the street and God helps the USA? You ever heard that one? You know, even though I don't know what I'm doing, even though I'm totally bewildered, somehow or other, you know, it'll work out, you know? Just like God helps drunks to cross the street, you know? God helps the USA, you know? God will help me somehow or other. I don't even know what God is, but, you know, who does anyway? No, really, I mean, you know? But I'm a good person, you know? I haven't done any hideous crimes, you know? I mean, I might have cheated on my wife or husband, or, you know, my partner, but, you know, everyone does that, you know? Anyway, you know, these are just indiscretions of the moment. So, regrets. We already covered one of the 5 major regrets. Number 1, I didn't pursue my friends enough. I let friendships fall by the wayside due to moving to another location, changing jobs, or I got too busy, and I let friendships slip away. That is one of the top 5 major regrets. So often, when people know that their days are numbered, they try to contact their old friends that slipped away, and many times they can't find them. You know, in this hectic society, high-stress society, it's quite common you can't find your old friends. It's too difficult. Okay, what are some other major regrets? I was not true to myself. I lived too much according to others' expectations. That's number 1. What do you think? I wasn't true to myself. I lived too much according to others' expectations of me. This is the number 1 dying regret.
I actually had a near-death experience, and at this moment when I thought that that's the end, or I can't change any longer, I was singing. And in 1 second I felt everything I did wrong and right, and that was the feeling he said. I wasn't true to myself, and I felt it. Somehow I tasted it.
Did you have,
I had so many things.
you had a near-death experience? Did you go through the life review, where your life, whole life flashed before your eyes, and so to speak?
1 second.
Yeah.
But I knew everything would happen in my life. It's very mystical. Just in 1 second.
So, what do you think about this major regret? I wasn't true to myself. My whole life was too much bound with others' expectations.
Well, that's terrifying.
Huh?
So then that's terrifying.
Isn't it? Anyone else? Yes?
I think it's valid. I mean, I think people feel that way probably right now. I mean, the world could end any moment. But, I mean, yeah, I think people feel that way. I know I personally feel that way. Because
Right now, you feel that you are living your life too much according to others' expectations.
Yeah, I mean, people expect a lot of me. I have parents who expect me to do something. I have friends who expect me to do other things. I have a job, and people expect me to do something there. So. And
what you rather do is, what? Just eat chocolate cake all day?
No. I like cake, but I mean, I don't know yet.
But you can't eat chocolate cake all day, because then you have to worry how you'd be perceived as a potential sense object, right?
I think a lot of, I think I'm young, and like I've grown up with that, with just
with the chocolate cake?
No, what everyone's been telling me what to do. I go to school, I listen to rules. I mean, I follow these guidelines because that's what I've been fed thus far.
But what would you rather be doing?
I mean, I ask myself that every day.
Do you know?
I don't think I know the exact definition of what it is that I want to do, but.
In your last days, you'd have regret that I never found out what I wanted to do. I just lived according to what everyone else wanted me to do.
I don't know. I'm just saying that that's like a valid regret that I think a lot of people still live with.
Okay. Anyone else? You're scratching your head again. Does that mean you're wanting to say something? Would you say to your husband, look, as much as I love you, dear, I think that I just too much tried to live according to your desires. Would you say that?
Come again?
Would you say that? Look, dear, as much as I love you, in my last days, I just have to admit that I just devoted too much time to fit your program instead of doing what I wanted to do.
Well, actually, I am married to my high school sweetheart. So I'd say no, because that's how we used to be. And currently, I devote my life to what I want to do.
Ooh, okay. All right. So, Number one regret is that I wasn't true to myself. I spent too much of my life living according to others' expectations. We already went over another regret, that I didn't keep up with my friends. Actually, the number two regret is not the friends, it's I didn't try to be happy enough. What do you think about that? I didn't try to be happy enough. I let other things get in the way of my own happiness.
Doesn't that go exactly hand in hand with the first one?
No, it's kind of a distinct one. In other words, whether I tried to please others or please myself, I didn't act for my own happiness enough. I should have allowed myself to be more happy and do things that would make me happy. Because, you know, it's all about me and my happiness. Is that the bottom line? Yeah? You agree, huh?
Yeah.
You say yeah. It's all about me.
But don't you want others to be happy too?
The happier you are, the happier they'll be.
There you hear it? You know, it's like the multimillionaires and billionaires in America say, you know, the richer we become, the richer you become. Don't raise our taxes. Don't worry, that wealth is going to trickle down. Because now the statistics show that it's a complete joke. The gap in inequality and wealth in the USA is just widening and widening. But it sounded good for a while, didn't it? Yeah. The more money you let us make, the more money you'll wind up in your pocket somehow. Don't worry. Your mysticism. It all trickle down. So similarly, the happier I try to be, the happier the world will be. What do you think?
I guess it depends on how you define happiness.
Well, whatever. That's up to you. Yeah. What's another regret? I worked too hard. I just devoted too much time to work. I allowed work to consume me. That's a big regret.
Do you feel like the opposite of that is also a serious regret? Not working hard enough to achieve something that you want?
But working too hard means employment, you know.
Yeah.
Hustling a job, not like pursuing some goal of your own, but just, I just work, job. That became my whole life. I forgot about me. I had no time for me. It's a different thing than struggling hard for a goal that you want to achieve. I remember talking to a cousin I have. I use this example often. He became an administrator in the Washington, D.C. Health Department when he was 25. And he rose up to be a top bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. And then after 30 years, when he was 55, he decided to take an early retirement package. And so I asked him, like, okay, why? You've always expressed how much of a grind it was and how much of a boring routine it was, even though you were a top bureaucrat. Why did you wait until you're 55 to retire? I mean, it wasn't so much the money, but why? He looked at me and said, you don't understand. You don't understand. Because, you see, I retired when I was 22. So. You don't understand. He said, once you stick your foot in, it's hard to pull it out. Because they just pour it on you. They just tell you, no, you're the best bureaucrat, you're the best administrator, we're depending on you. When the chips are down, we can call on you. When everyone else fails, we know that you'll get the job done. They just pour it on you. And it make you feel that, wow, I'm valuable. You know, yeah. And you know, at the annual banquet, they give you a certificate, our most dedicated, you know, person, you know. Sometimes you get a, you know, a watch, you know, and they just really, you know, that's the job of, you know, HR in corporations and, you know, human resources, how to make you feel good about yourself without raising your salary. Really, that's why. Yeah. Is it Mongol Arti? That's the purpose of HR? Yeah. Do they do that to you, or you do that to others?
Studied it,
Huh?
I studied it, so.
Yeah, so you do that to others, huh? You're really so valuable. I mean, we really appreciate how you're slaving extra hours coming in on the weekend. Huh?
They'll give you a card these days, you know, $50 card to some place or $20 card to some place.
Just what, a restaurant or something like that?
Yeah, but you can use.
And just any of these little things that just make you feel special. And it's cheaper than raising your salary. You know, talk is cheap, encouragement is cheap. So that's why, you know, businesses and bureaucracies have HR departments, human resources departments, how to motivate people. Because psychologists have found that actually, more than money, people want appreciation. That's why people, you know, will work for a nonprofit, for a charity. It's an appreciation. Do you feel that I've done something? I have value. And people so, just think. Are you going to work to live, or are you going to live to work? This is one of the top regrets. I spent my whole life just working. So my cousin was telling me, you don't understand. Once you get into all that, it's hard to withdraw. Because you want your life to have meaning. And people are telling you that you're the best. You're the go-to person. When the chips are down, we can count on you. And everyone wants to feel that, you know, yeah, I'm a clutch hitter. I got abilities, you know. So then he was so glad when he retired. So I was telling him, you know, now you can start thinking about who you are, try to understand what is the purpose of existence. Now you can really start dealing with the big questions. Anyway, his retirement lasted 2 years. He started getting jobs as a consultant. That's what you do when you retire. You know, you play the consultancy game. So first it was like 4 hours a week, then it was 20 hours a week. Now it's back up to like 45 hours a week consultant, because he's real happy now in his mind, not in actuality, but in his mind he's thinking, I'm double dipping. I'm getting my retirement money and exorbitant consultant fees. It doesn't get any better than this. I've got it made. Meanwhile, you look at his face and he looks totally exhausted and miserable, but in the mind there's that concept, I've got it made. I'm set up, you know? What do you think? What do you think? You would think like that? Or?
If I didn't have fears, then yes, I would definitely.
So, think about these regrets. Neglected friends, got too much into work, weren't true to yourself, lived according to others' expectations, didn't try enough for your own happiness. How are you going to avoid all that? And don't ever think that your senses will ever be satisfied through sense gratification. This is the main lesson that Krishna teaches in Bhagavad Gita. Impossible to satisfy material desires by material engagement, by material activity. It'll never happen. So much so that because your material desires must be unfulfilled, you carry them into your next life to try again, to achieve something that you'll never achieve. And so it just goes on and on, life after life, trying to fulfill desires that can never be fulfilled. You know that Greek mythology about Sisyphus?
Sisyphus.
Sisyphus, yeah. You know, he was condemned to push a stone boulder up to the top of a hill. Such heavy labor. And then as soon as the stone boulder got to the top of the hill, instead of rolling over on the other side of the hill, he just rolled back down the same side. And then the guy had to, that was his condemnation. Just keep trying to push the boulder up to the top and get it over the other side. But as soon as he got to the top, it rolled back down on the same side. That's life. So this shows you the endeavor to try to please your material senses. So what Krishna is trying to explain in Bhagavad Gita is that we are not the body. So if we're not the body, then how can bodily gratification make us happy? And when Bhagavad Gita talks about how you're not the body, it's also talking about the mind too, because the mind is considered a subtle body, as opposed to a gross body of flesh, physiology like that. There's also a psychological, or some people call it an astral body. So if indeed you're not the body and mind are coverings, how is it that, by stuffing yourself with chocolate cake, you're going to truly be happy? It's as ridiculous, the yogis know this is as ridiculous as driving your car into a gas station, pulling up to the pump, getting out, taking the pump, the nozzle, and sticking the nozzle in your mouth. And instead of putting it in the gas tank of your car. You say, well, look, the gas is not for you, it's for the car. You're not the car, even though you drive the car. So similarly, Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that you're not the body, even though you're driving the body. So how can bodily gratification or mental gratification actually satisfy you? It's the same as thinking that by your drinking the gas, I always say petrol because they're in a different part of the world, but by your drinking the gas, you're going to be nourished and happy. This is Krishna's beginning lesson in Bhagavad Gita. And then that lesson expands, as Krishna explains, the science of how to be a fool lifetime after lifetime. Just think about it. No one likes to be cheated, to be a fool. I know no one wants to admit it, but you know what it's like when someone cheats you? How angry you get? Someone, just pulls the wool over your eyes and just cheats you out of something. They, just lie to your face. And you believe what they said. You feel horrible. But just think, lifetime after lifetime to be a fool, to be cheated. So that is the destiny of someone who tries to satisfy their temporary physical and mental desires. Because they're not matter, they're not physiology or psychology. Krishna explains that you're actually an indestructible particle of spiritual consciousness, part of the supreme individual consciousness. You're an individual, and the supreme consciousness is individual. The body is your equipment for living in the material world and trying to fulfill desires that can never be fulfilled. So what Krishna is explaining in Bhagavad Gita is that the highest purpose of yoga, the real purpose of yoga, is, first of all, stop this matrix of illusion. Stop this game, this deadly game of thinking you're matter and trying to satisfy yourself with matter. Trying to satisfy yourself either with chocolate cake or your high school lover or whatever, or you're fast driving the red Ferrari. It's got nothing to do with you, the spirit soul. Now, just knowing this theoretically is not enough. And Krishna understands that, because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of pleasure. So Krishna is the greatest expert on enjoyment. So Krishna knows that even you may theoretically understand you're not the body and mind, you're a spiritual entity. But unless you actually taste spiritual pleasure, you're not going to give up the material inferior pleasure. So just think about that. You've got to get something better before you give up the worst, even though you may know. I don't know what a good example of that could be when you cling to something that's inferior, but you figure, hey, there's nothing better coming along right now. Maybe you have a partner who's, is not the best, she's not the best, but, Anyway, I got to pass the time with someone. Has it ever been like that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Like a unanimous, like, hey, gotta be with someone, You don't want to go through a lonely weekend. Another Saturday night and I got nobody. That's the worst thing, right? So you might as well, pass the time with someone. Yeah. And who knows? This is how you play games with yourself. And who knows, it could turn out to be something. You know it won't, but you just kind of, just to make yourself feel moral and make yourself feel wholesome. Well, after all, it could turn out to be something. There is a chance of that, You remember, huh? Been all over the world. I've seen it all. I don't need to go to the movies. I just watch and see it all happening in real life. So, you stay in a situation with someone even though you know it's not the best and it's not what you completely want because you don't have anything better. Right? You gotta pass the time with someone. And what are you supposed to do? Just stay at home and knit? What are you supposed to do? So, but once something better comes along, what happens? You make some quick adjustments. Huh? Stop doing When something better comes along, you make a quick adjustment. Maybe some of you can remember ingenious ways you figured out how to drop someone who was just like a placeholder, someone who was just a fill-in. That's the word, a fill-in. Right? You can remember ingenious ways how you discarded them when something better came along. What were some of the ways you did that? Who's honest?
How you drop something?
How you drop someone when someone who's just kind of a filler, filling up the time, just while you're waiting for a better product to come along.
And when that better thing comes along, what do you do?
What do you say? How do you get rid of the, the filler? The placeholder.
Well,
Change your number.
There's this instant high that comes along, and you think you're bigger. So, you think you're better almost. So it's almost like it doesn't matter how you get rid of them.
So you just it's not a big meditation how to dump them, right?
I mean, once your mind is changed, it all kind of falls through.
Everything just falls into place. You just act for your self-interest.
Oh
I appreciate your honesty and sincere recognition of how the game, is actually. Anyone else? How do you push aside someone who is just, filling the moments?
That random argument.
Oh,
Random argument.
What does that mean?
That random argument that just pops up in the conversation about how something's not working out.
Oh.
The realization. It's that golden realization you have.
All of a sudden it comes upon you. Hey.
I just realized.
Do you... Are we hearing from a pro?
Yeah, I have a PhD. I
You just do you wait for the argument to come, or because you know it's going to come anyway, or do you provoke it?
That's a switch.
Huh?
It's a switch.
The switch?
In life, you know, if you see something that may be better, you know, people do a lot of shopping right now, the holidays are out. And you may have something that's like, hey, this is a good deal. You look to the right, you see something with a better deal, instantly you just switch, drop. The mind just, hey, you start thinking about how you can have more, do more, enjoy more, see things better, or all these experiences that come. So it kind of helps you cultivate that.
You get that superior feeling, and you just, and so an argument's bound to arise, and you just take advantage, right?
Yeah. You become smarter in that argument, wiser in the argument.
I see.
No compassion.
How about that classic one I always like to refer to? Anyone ever tried this one? Look, it's not you, it's me. Really, believe me, you're good. But it's just me, you know. You tried that one? Yeah, I admit, I've got some things to work out. You know, you're too good for me. You're too honest, you know. Anyone ever tried that one? Yeah, that's a classic, right? As you slip out the door. It's not you, it's me. I know really.
It's just a break.
Huh?
It's just a break. And to you.
Oh, what's another one? You know, I just need some time to myself to think about it, right? There's some things I'm going through. I just need, you know, just to back off and be able to deal with myself, you know. So these are all the ways that we conspire when we think we got something better. Of course, whether we actually have something better, that's another thing. Because there, as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, there is an energy of illusion. And that's why we go life after life pursuing material satisfaction, because we're hallucinating. Our heads are filled with this illusion. Oh, this is better. Oh, this is better. But we're never satisfied. So, what Krishna proposes in Bhagavad Gita is to introduce you to a process by which you'll get a taste of the superior spiritual pleasure, and then automatically you'll relinquish your grip on the lower inferior pleasure. Now, who could complain about that? That's why I always explain that in Bhagavad Gita, nowhere is Krishna asking you to accept a religious belief. Everywhere in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is giving you laboratory guidelines for how you can enter into the laboratory and taste a superior existence. So that is why Bhagavad Gita is in a class by itself. It is not a book of religious doctrine or religious belief. It is a handbook for practically experiencing the superior spiritual reality. Now you might say, well, why isn't everyone interested in that then? Well, the nature of illusion is that even though you're suffering, you think, well, it doesn't get any better than this. This is just the way it is. There's nothing higher than this. We are the body. There's nothing else to do but gratify the body. Suit yourself. Try to be happy in your own way. That's what it's all about. We don't even know who we are, but that's not important. We don't even know why we're in this world struggling so hard to be happy. That's not important. We don't know what we're part of. So all these unanswered questions lead to misery life after life. Wasted energy. Pursuing the wrong thing, the wrong way. This is the greatest tragedy. And people at the last moment of their life do get a glimpse of that. At the very last moment. I've blown it big time. But because they're attachments. You see, you pay a price by engaging in material activities. Attachment. Even though you know you're wrong, you can't give it up. Maybe some of you have already been in such a situation, doing something you knew was wrong, injurious to you, but you just couldn't stop. So there's a price you pay for engaging in material activities. You become hooked. You become attached. And your intelligence becomes distorted. And you don't realize the high stakes until the last moment. And then you move on to your next body with all those unfulfilled desires, and so you got to try again in the next lifetime. So Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that your next lifetime with all those unfulfilled desires may not be a human body. Why do you think you have to be a human in your next life? There's so many different types of living entities. Human body takes a lot of merit because it has the advanced consciousness to have a discussion like we're having now. But there's so many other life forms. So what Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita is that you get a particular body according to your consciousness at the time of death and what you deserve. It's like cars. Everyone would like to have a Ferrari or a Mercedes or a BMW to fulfill their desires, but you may not have the karma to afford it. Similarly, you may desire the best body, but you may not have the karma to merit the best body. So instead of taking birth as a Hollywood movie star, living in Hollywood, so you can fulfill your desires, you might take birth as a pig. You can do the same thing. But just in that, the circumstances, the packaging, the setting is different. Hollywood movie star, cavorts in a 5-star hotel. The pig cavorts, on a pig farm. So these are the ways of the process of changing from one body to another. So the intelligent person thinks, what kind of body will I get in my next life? And how can I arrange to have the best possible body? So what Krishna is trying to get you to do is to realize no material body will satisfy you because you're not material, you're spiritual. And what you should really be doing is trying to revive your connection to Krishna, the supreme source of pleasure. And in that way, Krishna promises you, if you got that mastered, you don't take another material body. Krishna says you go to him. Now, what happens when you go to Krishna? That is described exhaustively in the graduate study to Bhagavad Gita called Srimad Bhagavatam. So there's a lot of knowledge waiting for us to inform us of a superior reality. Not just way in the future, but even now. And that's the glory of Kirtan, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra together. Right now we can, with our tongues and our ears, participate in the spiritual reality. So through the Kirtan, the spiritual world descends. So it does much more than just give mere stress relief. The more you get into it, the more you'll realize how the Kirtan is so pregnant with transcendental spiritual possibilities. You have a question? Okay.
What I'm wondering is, how is it these things that we do with our bodies, I feel like superficial things, affect such a deep consciousness or spiritual consciousness? Like me cheating on a partner, how would that affect my deep spiritual consciousness?
Because unregulated sense activity produces a wild mind. And it's the mind that carries the mind is like a template that you carry from body to body. So you get your next body according to the mind's proclivities, propensities, patterns. And so by having unrestricted sensual activity, your mind becomes wild and becomes caught up in all that stuff. Instead of...
Sorry, but if we're not the mind or the body, how do we drag one mind from one body to another mind and another body.
Because the spirit soul is lost. It's like you've forgotten about it. Like when you go to sleep at night, do you remember yourself when you're in deep sleep?
Unless I'm lucid dreaming.
Right? You forget all about yourself until you wake up in the morning, until the alarm clock rings. So similarly, our real identity as spirit soul, part of Krishna, is lost to us. We've forgotten about it. So we're living in a dream world. But because we identify with that dream, we have to suffer, or so-called enjoy, in the dream world.
I feel like he made it so hard for us to get out of this dream world with not only our bodies, but our mind playing against us.
No. The whole purpose of Bhakti Yoga is how to use your senses and your mind so that you attain the highest state of consciousness. Now, don't blame me. I didn't make, material life unsatisfying, It's just the way it is. Don't blame me for that. I'm not the supreme controller, In other words, the way reality is, you cannot satisfy yourself materially. That's the basic reality. But you can more than fulfill yourself spiritually. This is how the universe is arranged. So the quicker that we accept that, then we'll actually genuinely be peaceful. But it may take many births because we are feisty, we like to rebel. No, I'm going to enjoy. I'll show you. Right? Yeah. We're really feisty. So that's why Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, birth after birth, you march on. Yeah. It's madness.
It just seems to me like the body as well. It just feels very divine. Like it almost feels like a miracle that we're even alive.
You ever been very sick? So it may be a miraculous fashion attire outfit, but it's still not you. Fashions, as he said, come off, the body comes off.
But should we dismiss the body?
No, we should use the body for what it's intended, as a vehicle for enlightenment. That's Bhagavad Gita's program. Nowhere in Bhagavad Gita does Krishna say, well, you're not the body, so just abuse it. Just, you're not your car, but you take care of your car. So similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, you can't be a yogi if you eat too much or eat too little, sleep too much or sleep too little. You've got to take care of your machine, but you use the machine for the highest purpose, to attain the love supreme. So Bhakti Yoga is not about body denial, it's about using the body for the highest purpose, rather than the lowest purpose. Okay? Those are good points you raised. All right, we've had a real good discussion tonight. Oh, yes?
What would be a good example of tasting that spirituality?
We're going to be doing that in just a few seconds. We are going to be indulging in spiritual sound vibration. The Hare Krishna mantra, as many of you know, is not an ordinary song. It is about connection to the highest spiritual dimension. And the more you practice this kirtan chanting, the more indeed you'll start to experience that. And the first symptom of what you'll experience is that indeed you are different from your body and mind. That's just the first step. Ultimately, you begin to feel your connection with the love supreme. So, why don't we have some kirtan? Our Mridanga players ready?